Anyways, that's who I voted for. Oh, shit.
Welcome to the Push Press Podcast.
Where gym owners learn to dodge bad advice, crush their competition, and actually make money doing what they love. Let's get after it.
Welcome back. The day before, I shouldn't date this, huh? Election day. Today's the day before election day. It feels like this. And, we just got back from the Austin Summit. And one thing that always weighs on my mind is education, because that's what these summits are about. And I pretty much credit everything, that has mildly even been successful for me around my ability, my desire to learn and continue to grow educationally wise. And so I was thinking on the plane over here, like a great topic to discuss with people isn't why you should have a business coach, because we all know you should have a business coach, right? It's because, the right topic should be how not to get fucked by a business coach. Or I shouldn't even say a business coach, because I would classify business coaches as like ethical people, but a guru, right? There's plenty of people in the space that, may not be the best fit for, everyone out there. And they're asking for huge upfront commitments and big, large ticket things. And I've been on the other side of the equation. It's like you're faced with this uncertainty of a $20,000, $30,000 commitment versus what you feel is very important for your business. So I figured let's chat about like what to look for to not get fucked.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. And maybe it's stepping off one. I'm curious, how many business coaches have you had in your time of leading Push Press?
Including the gym. Let's include the gym.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
I think I've had 4.
Yeah.
So we're not one coach and think that we have found the ultimate path here. We've been through interviewing and engaging with multiple coaches in our time.
Ooh, that's made me realize there's another bullet point, which I'm going to add to the list right now.
Sweet. Okay. Side note. They did not sponsor this podcast, but big fans of the guys over at Best Hours, so we're representing their shirts today.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Make affiliates great again.
Yeah. No. So, when I compare and contrast, like some of the things that I talked to with the Best Hour guys and coach some of the gurus in the space that I know, been around, rubbed elbows with, there's just a clear difference. And actually it was that contrast that made me think, like, let's talk about, the good, how to gravitate, how to pick the right coach for you. I wouldn't even say some are good or bad, but like the right coach for you.
Yeah. I think it's a good way to frame it, because there's definitely, and we'll touch on it later, but there's definitely like alignment with personality and things like that that'll come into play for sure.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So we kind of set the stage here. We know that all business people need to work with a coach. I'm just going to say that point blank as a fact. There's no way that you can run your business and know every corner, that you're about to approach, and every pothole that you're about to step into without working with someone who's been there and done that. And I think it's worth every penny that you spend in that. It's just expensive. And a lot of people, until they've worked with the right coach, it's hard to see the value, the ROI of that.
Go, son.
Okay. So really it's like, how do we make sure we're not throwing our money away when hiring a coach? So we comprise a long list. I don't know if this list is going to fit on the screen on the list of topics to cover. But we'll just run right through them and we'll kind of rifle through it, right?
Yeah.
And so the first one, which I think is really, so again, to frame this, these are things that you want to pay attention to, look for, ask for when you're interviewing. Think of it this way, your business coach, if you're going to be working with a business coach. And the first one that I've come up with is just canned advice. So if you come to them with a business problem or a question that in particular to your business, and the first thing they give you is an answer, then that's a red flag. Because every business is different. Every market may vary, even regionally or country-wise, like everything is different. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. In fact, from my experience, you can do 2 completely different things and still succeed. So there is no one answer.
It's funny when you put this one on here, I thought of Enoch, Chief Customer Officer at Gusto, super intelligent guy. He never replies with an answer. It is always a question, and then another question, and then another question. And we get deep into the root cause before he starts, suggesting maybe some approaches.
Right. And this episode is brought to you by Gusto. Which goes to tell you, like, imagine if you went to a doctor and you're like, hey, my knee hurts. And they're like, here's some ointment. And you're like, yo, don't you want to know if it's like my anterior, or, like, let me give you some more information. Don't you have some question to ask me? So it's the same thing with like a coach or a guru. I hate that word, but same thing. Like if they aren't prodding on like where the pain points are and poking at it and trying to understand more, huge red flag. And they should be following up with questions immediately for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
And so next one, keep our speed going here. How quickly can they go deep?
Mm.
Right. So this kind of goes back to every question should have another question, but they need to be able to get to a depth where you can get value out of the line of thought somewhat quickly.
Yep.
You know,
And for reference, you should be when you're in the sales process with the business coach or guru, you should be testing them on these things. So say like, here's my problem, and just see like, are they asking questions back? And then are they going deep on it? Like, going back to that doctor analogy, like if you have a knee pain or if you have pain in your stomach, dude, they're going to go deep. Like, where is that? Is that when I poke here, does it hurt? Is it feel more interior? Is it in the muscle? Like, make sure that they are trying to figure out what the root of the question is before they're giving you just a diagnosis.
100%.
Okay. Third one. This is one that I love. Talk to people who did not succeed with them. Right?
It's a powerful one.
Yeah. And we're all businesses and we all try to make everyone happy, and it's impossible. Like you cannot be 100% with everyone. So no matter what business you're in, there's people out there who hate you. I don't know. What's the world's most loved brand? I mean, people hate Apple left and right. People hate Tesla. People hate Pathwater. This episode is sponsored by Pathwater. Anyways, you just can't get away from it. So find some people that they did not succeed with and interview them, right?
Yep.
And you really want to find out where things went wrong so you can understand if that aligns with you.
Yeah. Finding out why things went wrong is really, to me, very important to understand whether or not it doesn't, even if someone had a bad experience with them, it doesn't mean that they can't serve you in a perfectly, good manner, right? Because it's like, how do you filter out the negative noise? And the same side is when you talk to people who did like them, why? Does your business needs and your needs as a mentee align with the people who've had success with that particular coach, right? So get the whole picture.
People stop too short talking to the success stories, because if you ask the mentor or if you ask any business, like, hey, give me someone to talk to, they're going to give you the best people.
100%.
So you have to do a little bit of your own work and find the people that it didn't work out well with and see why. I mean, the best thing is, and this goes back to another episode that we just did, was like, if that didn't work out, and even if it was a train wreck, if there was some type of connection on the way out where they were helping them, serving them, and not being a jackhole to them, the person be like, hey, it didn't work for me, but I think they're great people. And that's a really strong signal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next one, student to coach ratios. So you were talking earlier about a public speaking class that you are getting ready to get started. And what was it? 6-1?
Yeah. 6 coaches. I think it might be 3-1 actually. Cause I think there's 2 coaches in the class for six students.
Yeah. So if you're going to be able to go deep to solve a problem, look for, I would say, appropriate ratios, because it depends on the level of coaching and what you're buying and the price and everything else, right? But don't spend high ticket money and then get 100-to-1 ratios that you're not, that if you have a question, this is not going to get answered.
Yeah.
Once you have out of whack ratios.
Yeah. And like further going deeper into that, there's like a little bit of smoke around the fact that if you ask, hey, what's your student coach ratio? And they go like, 50-to-1 or 30-to-1. Like anytime it's a round number, I would be like, where's that being rounded from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, or do you even know, like, how many clients do you manage exactly? Tell me.
Yeah.
Right. And how many of them report only to you?
And again, I think the importance here is when you need attention, and that's what you're paying for, is a level of attention that you can't get just by Googling how to get more fit or whatever it is, right? So this would be the same thing as if in your gym, you have 60 people in a class and you're trying to teach them all to overhead squat. Like, how many of them are going to learn in a 60-to-1 ratio at the gym, right? And so there's time and a place. Again, not saying 60-person class can't work, because it's all about the level of maybe the complication of what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah. And that actually segues pretty nicely over to the next one, which would be like, one coach can't fit every stage of your business. And I'll use that 60-person class. Like, hey, if all 60 people are advanced and one person is not, maybe one coach is fine, right? If we're doing overhead squat. But if all 60 are at varying degrees and have varying needs and have like one person wants to go to the games and needs some very minute tweak on something very, very sophisticated. One person's like first day. That coach is sunk. Okay. So the other thing to think about is, and this is the reason you've had 4 coaches, I've had 6, is because like going from opening a gym all the way through whatever part of a gym into the software, blah, blah, blah. Like we have different stages, different needs.
Yep.
And so it kind of and then this also kind of ties back, into canned advice and how quickly can we go deep. If that coach is just like, oh yeah, I got it, that's a red flag, right? Like they should be trying to figure out like, oh, what stage are you at? How much revenue are you at? How many members do you have or whatever? Like they need to ask these questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great one, right? That a good coach will know their niche really, really well. Like I take CEOs of B2B SaaS companies from here to here, but I don't take them from here to there.
Yeah.
And I also, I can do this other part, the 0 to 1 part. It's not like I'm right here.
Yeah, it's like the Goldilocks effect. Right? Like this is too early, this is too late, or this is too big, this is too small, whatever it is. But like everyone should have a wheelhouse.
Yep.
And maybe a bigger coaching organization or a better coach can expand that wheelhouse some. But there still has to be a wheelhouse where like people fall out of.
And that's where that interview process is so critical. And you need to be forthcoming with like, I need help from here to here. Can you help with this section? And then you also want to talk to those other people that like, oh, well, it didn't work for me. Well, why didn't it work? Well, because I was trying to do this. Okay, perfect. Doesn't apply to me.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Next one, style. So do they match yours? This one is a little tough to fill out at times, but I know that whenever I interviewed a couple different coaches in the early Twitch Press days, there was just something was amiss. They always wanted to go back to a certain framework that they knew that they had. I didn't like the delivery. I didn't like the talk to listen ratio for both parties. There was just something that fell off. And I thought, I'm not going to vibe with this person.
And really that's super important, right? Like if for you to take anything from a coach, you've got to be able to sit down across them and feel like comfortable. You have to have trust, right? You have to have that vibe. So yeah, I remember, and some of these people you interviewed, I remember at the time going like, damn, these are really good people that are not good enough for Nick. Who's this Nick guy? No,
But the flip,
but it's good that you sent your gut on that.
yeah. And the flip side is that a couple of the coaches that I had now, like they know everything about my life because I feel open to being able to say like, hey, look, I'm like really freaking stressed right now. And how did you manage it? And let's just noodle in on how I can not take my work home with me and be about us, right?
Which is interesting because a lot of times people think the coach is there for the X's and O's, the job or the business, but really it's like he was just your bartender for that night.
Yeah.
I'm fucking stressed. Yeah, and this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But yeah. Another thing too is if they hone in too much on like what feels like canned or vanity metrics, right? So again, every gym is different. Every gym has different objectives and goals. Every owner has different objectives and goals. Like some people don't want to make a certain amount of money. Some people don't want to grow as big as others. But to hone in, like vanity metrics are ones that kind of make us feel good, but don't really mean a ton, right? Like how much, how many members someone has. You have to dig deep into like what type of metrics they're trying to expose. What does that metric actually mean? How do you measure it? This is one thing I've actually noticed with a lot of business in general, like the full float metric out there, when you actually ask a few questions about it, it's like they can't even answer what's the definition of the metric, why are they measuring it, why is it important, whatever. So make sure like as you're seeing metrics floated to you, just question them like, well, why is that important? Like, do you try and get all gym owners to align on this metric and how do you do that?
100%. Yeah. It gets tossed out there as just quick hits of marketing social proof is all they're trying to do. Yeah, a lot of different ways. Transparency. And we've noodled on this one, right? Like, but ask them, who have they failed? So in your interview process, who have you failed? Can I talk to them? Why did you fail them? And see if you get an answer that feels honest. Most of us can tell when we're completely being bullshit, right? But like, see, everyone's failed. If you are a coach in any capacity, you have failed people. And all of us who have owned gyms, we have failed at coaching someone to what we originally set out and agreed to, right? So like, we should be forthcoming with that as coaches, and we should expect our coaches to tell us the same.
Yeah, and even to double click on that, like you can ask them, well, what did you learn? Right? Because if they haven't learned something from it, then I would question how good how good can a coach be if they can't learn from their own mistakes, right? That's kind of the point of a coach, is to be able to not let you make some mistakes, but also make sure as you make them, they're keeping you within guardrails and making sure you learn from them as you go. So yeah, like what mistakes have you made? What were your biggest challenges? What did you learn from them?
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah. Biggest challenges are a big one too, because I think for the most part, if you take your career seriously and your career is you want to coach others to a point of excellence that you'd experienced before, the challenges are going to stand out to you probably more than the successes. The letdowns are going to stand out to you. So a coach will probably have a couple right off the top of their head.
That's such a good point. Can you just imagine like a real coach, like who has actually failed someone? Like I just put myself, like, let's say I was a high school football coach and there's a kid that came to my program and I knew this kid is going to make college. And for whatever reason, like I didn't connect with him. I didn't get him like academically correct, whatever it is. And it's like, didn't make it, does not go to college, do not pass go. If you came to me and asked me what is my biggest regret in life, that would stand out.
Yep.
Right. But if I have to sit there and go like, let me think about that, like that's really fishy.
If the answer feels like that interview question of what's your biggest weakness? Well, you see, it's that I talk to,
I'm too confident. Yeah, like that one actually should almost bring them to tears if they're a real coach. That's an interesting one. Okay, I got a fun one, and it's only because we're in football season right now, and that is coach lineages. And it's only because you see, like, I don't follow football deep enough to really do this correctly, but they always do this on the games. It's like, oh, this head coach used to be the defensive coordinator there underneath Bill Belichick, who was the coach of the Browns, and they just spill the whole lineage. But the reality is like great coaches are born from great coaches. There's a whole lineage of them, and the great coaches who are born from great coaches know that it's part of their tradition and their responsibility to pass that down, right? So I think asking, who did you learn from? Why did you learn that? What do you believe in that philosophy? Like starting to prod into like, what is the lineage of where you came from and why? And tell me. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think that that's one that's often discussed in like business coaching circles, right? It's all more sports related, but I think if I circle back to, some of the individuals that I engage with now, we've had the discussion. I didn't think about it formally during like the interview process of where they each learned and what their path of careers exactly was,
I mean, if you really think about it, like who a coach learns from is probably the most impactful thing to that coach.
They all have an influence from somewhere, right? And probably where do you continue to draw influence and learn from is another question.
Oh shit. And then the follow up to that is like, what's your downstream look like? Are you developing a downstream?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's a good one. And last but not least, trust your gut.
Oh, the mother of them all. That honestly, trust your gut is the answer for every business question in the world, I believe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
interesting.
I don't know where my gut hasn't ultimately been mostly right. Right.
I can get behind that. I never really could have thought of that. Okay, so trusting your gut for a coach, it's like it's similar to what I mentioned earlier. You're on the call, you're talking to them, the conversation just doesn't feel natural, but everything else hits. Is trusting your gut saying, I'm abandoning that engagement.
I mean, that's the thing about trusting your gut is I think your gut kind of knows if it's 50-50, 60-40.
That is just enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know when there's something enough right or enough wrong to question it.
Okay, that's fair. I can get behind that.
And I think all of these tools that are all these things we just discussed, hopefully will weigh into part of that gut.
They all just stack, and as you kind of go.
If you really break down what trust your gut means, it's like all of your experiences, all the things you've experienced, you're weighing to some degree. But if you haven't thought of half of these things we just talked about, you can't even use that in the gut process.
You know what? We should make a checklist, like interviewing a coach checklist.
Yeah. Oh, they get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that help you guys? If you would like a checklist printed for you and delivered to your inbox, send an email to podcast@pushpress.com requesting it, and we will make sure we can send it to you. Beyond that, let's ask some questions to that, huh? Or should we close up first?
No, let's wrap it.
Okay, wrap it up. So, I mean, bottom line, coaches are important. Obviously, if we didn't think coaches were important, we wouldn't even be in business because we are fitness coaches who are providing accountability and structure and regimen to our clients. And like, if we didn't believed that that was necessary, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing, right?
100%.
So coaches are necessary. Coaches are important. Business is complicated. And if you think you know all about business, you probably shouldn't be in business because you don't. I'll guarantee that.
Amen.
What else to wrap up? So make sure you're actively interviewing your coaches. So when you're going out thinking about getting a business coach, well, again, we get it. $30,000, whatever that expense is, feels like a punch in the gut. Make sure you're spending it correctly. Make sure you come into your sales process with them with your own set of interviews, because you need to get your questions answered more than, don't just let them drive the conversation down the sales path.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Get to a point where you can make a good decision based on your gut. And shit, I mean, I guess if you're having a hard time with it, write it all down in an email to podcast@pushquest.com, send it off to us, and maybe we can help you make the decision.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, another good one. See you guys later.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Push Press Podcast, where we help gym owners, entrepreneurs, and fitness enthusiasts thrive with actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategies for growth.
Don't forget to follow the show to stay updated on new episodes. And if you're ready for more, join our free Facebook community for gym owners. Check the show notes for the link, and we'll see you next time. Keep raising the bar for your business and community.